For months I've been beavering away creating our Isle of Arran road trip guide. The guide itself covers everything from things to do and places to eat, all the way to where you can empty your chemical toilet, as well as everything in between. I'd purposely left my favourite part of the process until last. And just like the Scottish weather, I had me poor days. I'm not particularly pleased or really thrilled with that photo, if I'm being completely honest with you, as well as some absolutely incredible days. This is just absolutely, completely and utterly blown my socks off. So sit back and enjoy the journey as we try and cover all corners of the island on my mission to photograph the Isle of Arran. We're here. We're eventually in Brodick, which is on the Isle of Arran, and after the ferries were cancelled, then they weren't, then they were back on, then they were off, and just absolute catastrophe with CalMax ferries at the minute. But anyway, all of that's irrelevant. We're on the island, we've got an hour and a half till sunset, and I want to try and get the first photo of the trip tonight. I don't really know where, I haven't got much of a plan, and it looks a little bit overcast, which I wasn't expecting. I thought it was forecast to be sunny tonight, so I was expecting a bit of a dramatic sunset. That doesn't mean that's not going to be the case though. We just need to get to the western side of the island and see if I can find somewhere that looks decent, and then hope and pray that we get a nice sunset. So that's where we're off now, to the west. So this roughly is the composition that I seen just off Google Maps, and I thought it might make a photograph just purely because the buildings are quite a cool shape. So with that, snaking round, back out, the buildings there, sun should set around here, but there's no sun tonight. So I might take a test photo and see whether I even like the composition or not. To be honest, I don't mind this composition. Maybe it's just the sky. It's Monday morning and we're on Droneadoon beach, and to be fair, today the forecast's actually meant to be nice. Obviously, as you can see, it's not, and it hasn't been for the last 2 days either. So the initial purpose of coming here was to get loads of photographs for the sort of trip guide that I'm releasing for the Isle of Arran, and up to now, literally the weather's either been like this or raining as well as this. So the forecast is actually better this afternoon and lovely for the next 2 days. So I'm going to be busy for the next couple of days. But I thought this might make a nice photograph, just very minimalistic. Let's go and see if I can find some sort of composition that, well, kind of sums up this grey and pretty misty morning. Now, to the untrained eye, this may just look like a photograph of some seaweed and water. And, well, to the trained eye, it probably does as well, because, well, that's all it is, to be honest. I'll show you what I'm going for. I've spotted this lump of seaweed here. Now, every time, because it's quite a big lump, the seaweed itself isn't moving a lot, but the sort of bits around the edges of it are. So what I want to try is see what that might look like with a slightly slow shutter speed. I don't mind it, actually. I think it does look like a painting. This may be a slight adjustment to people that were used to just watching these videos for van-related everything. But unfortunately, this is what you've got to get used to now. Pictures of seaweed. So I've just left the park up where we stayed last night, and we're heading roughly around about 25 minutes south. The island's small, so it doesn't take particularly long to get anywhere really, but we are heading south to a waterfall where there's a unique little building that I'll show you a little bit more when I get there, but I need to photograph it for the Arran guide that I'm busy making, because that is one of the top 5 places that I would recommend coming to view. And hopefully this time when we see it, the waterfall has some water in it, because it just looked like someone had just say left the tap on last time. So it's a nice little walk up to the top. It does get a little bit strenuous the further up you get, but you're walking along a nice little river. It's pretty. The weather's canny today as well, other than the mist, but it's a nice temperature for this kind of thing. This is what's called the library. It's pretty strange looking. As you'll see as we go in, there's just paper, messages and all sorts just hanging everywhere. There's pictures of it being built. There's quite a strange echo while you're in here as well. We've got the trees on the left as a frame on that side. We've got a single tree on that side which sort of frames up that side of the photo quite nicely as well. The mists come in a lot more, and to be fair, the separation of the building, it looks very green and yellow compared to everything else, which is so muted, which I actually like, in the white of the mist, which isn't ideal, but that'll give us somewhere to put the text on the guide, which is something worth thinking about. 1/30th of a second, f11, and take the photo. We went for lunch in Brodick before I spotted a heron trying to catch a fish down by the water's edge, and I hopped out with my camera expecting the heron to fly away. That's not actually what ended up happening. So I'm pretty pleased with myself. We've spent the last few hours in Brodick just chilling really, because the weather's turning nice. The sun is coming out and the clouds are lifting a little bit, and I've tried for ages where we live to try and get a decent photograph of a heron, and the second they see you, they're away. And there's been the most photogenic poser heron in the world that I've ever seen just here today, and I've got some of the best photographs I've ever taken of a heron. I caught it catching a few fish. The background was lovely. I would get literally 6 foot away, maybe if that, and it just couldn't care less. It was massive. So I'll put on the screen some of the photographs that I've got of that, which I'm very happy with, and it shows, to be fair, there is a skill to wildlife photography a lot of the time, and this one really didn't involve much of it because it just let us get as close as I wanted really while it carried on hunting, which was ideal. And the weather come out perfectly to light it, so I'm guessing the photos will look very pretty and very sharp, so I'm happy with that. We spent the next few hours out hiking in La Cranza, and I'd struggled to find anything that I would like to shoot for sunset, so we decided to head back down south and across to Black Waterfoot. As we drove down the east coast, the sun was setting, which gave us the most gorgeous colours of the whole trip. So we've stopped at the side of the road. It's 7:30 now, so it's like another hour till sunset, but as we were driving south down, that is the most trippy thing I've ever seen. I'll see if I can show you this. Let's see. That looks quite trippy, but anyway. So we've found this spot on the way down south, and on the way down I took some beautiful photographs. I just love the colour of the sky, of the whole thing. What a beautiful place. I've taken some photos that I thoroughly enjoyed today. 20-second exposure, hopefully to smooth the water out a hell of a lot more. It's just too distracting. I don't mind, I like the mountains. There's not much in the sky other than the initial clouds rolling over the hill, but the foreground's just far, far, far too distracting. What a bloody lovely finish of the day. Time to go and get some Brodick and sit and watch the sunset down the beach, ready for a busy day. Climbing up Goatfell tomorrow. Good morning everyone. You join us today for the first time on our trip to the Isle of Arran, well, on this trip to the Isle of Arran, in what looks to be, well, some blue sky and a little bit of clouds and not just constant mist. And it might not look it that way, but this way is going to be presumably crystal clear all day. And later today, for sunset, we're climbing the Isle of Arran's highest peak, Goatfell. We're heading up there roughly around 5 o'clock, coming back down when it's starting to get dark. We're going to take some beautiful photographs from the highest part of the island. Now, all I need to do is to try and find a photograph of Droneadoon Beach, because it is on the Isle of Arran guide, the guide that I've came here to take photographs for. And this is why I'm just starting to wake up. I'm half asleep, but I need to go and find a photograph. We'll get the drone up and we'll have a proper look. There's a little bit of wind. I hope the wind isn't too strong later on while we're up on Goatfell. I don't know what the forecast up there is. I will have to double check actually. Come on, there we go. So it's up, all is good, and let's see what photos we can get with the DJI Mavic 3 Mini Pro. It's a little belter.
Please check it out.
We drove to Lamlash for a coffee, went for a hike near Brodick, sat twiddling our thumbs for about an hour, and needless to say we decided to change our plans and head off to Goatfell a little bit earlier than we'd initially expected. So I think we're going to give in to the temptation of sitting around. We've been sitting around for probably an hour and I'm a bit bored now, and I'm just, the longer we wait the more tired we get. So I'm going to shoot up, I think shortly. We're going to finish getting sorted. The bags are pretty much packed. Chuck a bit of water in, head up, and then at least when we get down we can go and have a nice pint in the pub. But the weather's looking good, so fingers crossed it's nice and clear when we get to the top. So it says allow 4 to 5 hours to get there and back. We're banking on probably 4.5 max. So the weather's lovely down here. A little bit too warm, but we know it is windy. Once you're out in the open, and no doubt it's going to be windy at the top as well. But here's to a nice bloody walk. Beautiful view. Often when you're climbing up stuff you forget to turn around and have a look how beautiful the scenery can be where you've came from. We're about halfway in now, or just over halfway. There is Goatfell, just there. Just letting Danny have a rest. It's so nice to just be in the shade. It's extremely warm today. I can't believe that I'm wishing it was colder than what it is in April in Scotland. How's this for a view? We're not even at the top yet. made it to the top, and if I'm honest, it's a little bit overwhelming because I don't really know which way to look. I have no idea which way to photograph because every single angle is just absolutely breathtaking. This is the prettiest mountain I've ever been up. I mean, it's not the easiest hike up. There's some steep bits, but it's worth it. I've never been anywhere where I've got such a 360-degree view. Nothing like this. Now I just need to try and figure out the composition and take a photograph. So I found another little composition of just the mountain tops in the background and the haze. It's very, very minimal. I'm going to go for another square crop again, I think. The colours are nice. It's a shame if there's not another layer in the foreground, but again, f11, 1/60th of a second. We've found the wind. It's on this side, and thought we'd have a little look over here to see what we can see, and this side is just ridiculous, as all the sides are, to be honest, but we may have a photo over this side, I'm not sure. There is just some stunning layers over this side that you can see. So what I'm suffering from here is a classic case of being massively overwhelmed at the beauty of these views, and I don't even know what to photograph. I really haven't got a clue. There's so much to look at. Literally every single side you turn, doesn't matter whether you're looking this way, that way, that way. It's literally like a 360-degree panoramic view of basically the whole island, and it's every single side is beautiful. I don't know where to point the camera. I'll probably get back down. The thing is, if I get back down and there's not that many photos I like, I'm not even bothered because I've seen it with my eyes, and we couldn't have gotten a better day either.